everyone, and welcome on back to another build video. Today we're kind of doing a two-in-one type situation where I'm going to just be talking about the general healing playstyles with both the Herald and the Renegade for the Revenant, as those are the two specializations that give you access to the two important boons. Herald giving quickness, Renegade giving alacrity, and with the weapon proficiencies, you're getting access to the offhand shield no matter what build, so that is being integrated into these builds. But first, I want to talk about the Renegade and how I've been weaving in some extra support with the shield, and how it's looking with current relics and relics you can choose from and play around with. So let's talk about my gear first and foremost. We're running with Harriers, and at the moment I'm running Duenas, but truthfully I really want to use Superior Rune of Water, but it's just so expensive right now, so I'm currently waiting on that. However, I'm running with Sword, Shield, and Staff. I'm running with a combination of Concentration Sigil, Transference, and as for my accessories, I'm running Harriers as well. Power, Healing Power, and Concentration. Now for the Relic. When I'm using my Renegade build, I tend to go with Relic of the Flock, as I'm able to weave in healing, but then when I'm using my healing ability for both Ventari and Kala, I'm getting some barrier access. And both Ventari and Kala give great amounts of group healing, and just having a little bit of shielding with the barrier is really nice, just so players can negate damage instead of having to correct it. And as for my specializations for my Renegade build, I'm running with Salvation, Invocation, and of course the Renegade. Salvation full top line, as this is going to be your bigger healing output. And then for Invocation, I'm running with Rising Tide to increase damage, Spirit Boon to grant boons when I swap to a legend, and Charged Mists to gain extra energy when I'm switching to a legend when I'm below 25. And then for the Renegade, I'm taking the full bottom line. This is your more support oriented, and it gives you greater increase to alacrity. Wrought Iron Will, giving resolution and regen when I dodge roll. This would be really nice if this was on evade or block, but it is what it is for now. And then All for One, when I'm using the spirits for the legendary Renegade abilities, I will grant allies around me or around the spirit protection. And this protection can kind of be spammed with Soul Cleaver's Summit if you want to do that. It's just like a fun little interaction, but protection is pretty strong. I kind of wish that this was protection and resolution, and then Wrought Iron Will would be regen and like 2 seconds of vigor, just to make this the pure defensive trait, and this one be something else, because this used to be retaliation if I'm not mistaken. Righteous Rebel, this will reduce your condition damage that you're taking. It's not really that important in PvE, but this will cause your F4 to last longer and affect a larger area, so that you can apply alacrity to allies in a larger radius, and you can play around with distance if you need to. The way in which I'm really enjoying Relic of the Flock at the moment is by playing with Ventari, because it's on a 10-second cooldown, this specific relic, and it has an activation radius of 360, which is the same as your Righteous Rebel. They don't get affected by the relic's barrier. Okay, well, at least you're able to see it on me. But I have tested this out, and it's the same radius as Orders from Above, so it's a nice way to just visualize, 360 on multiple areas of your build in terms of when this effect is proccing. And because it is with Ventari's tablet, your 6th ability, which functions as your healing skill, has only a 2-second recharge, so you can use this very much on demand. And if you're able to visualize the pulsing, that's 3 seconds, it'll be 6, the next one will be 9, and then just a moment after the final one, you can proc it again to gain that barrier. And having about 2.7k barrier with this build every 10 seconds is pretty nice. It's pretty nice on top of the passive healing coming from the tablet and your other sources such as regen, your on-demand healing with Natural Harmony, which, for those of you who don't know, Ventari is your healing legend, and Natural Harmony, this ability is so strong. It is so strong and quite spammable with 2-second cooldown, but costing 20 energy, so just be aware of that. But in addition to all of this, you actually get to utilize the shield now when playing in Renegade, and this used to not be the case before, and you'd only have to go with staff as your main support weapon. But now you can go with sword and choose to go offhand shield if you want a little bit more area healing and protection generation. And this protection is about 3 1/4 seconds, so it's not the most impactful of your protections, but when you weave it into your Renegade abilities when activating your spirits, you're able to get decent uptime on the actual protection, and plus gaining alacrity from orders from above, you're already reducing all of your cooldowns, so your protection uptime is not too bad. Also, as I mentioned, the interaction with your upkeep for Soul Cleaver Summit, you can activate and kind of spam this ability if you want to just use it, despawn it, spawn it again, despawn it, and then spawn it again if you want to kind of preload some more protection on your allies. But all in all, it's pretty much better to leave this up so that you can get access to that extra lifesteal damage and lifesteal healing for all of your allies. And the Shield 4 is a nice little burst heal, and that protection is pretty good. The one thing about your 5th ability, Crystal Hibernation, is a very nice defensive ability. So if you happen to find yourself really low and getting targeted in any PvE environment, or perhaps you're in a very dangerous AoE, you can hopefully proc Crystal Hibernation to block all of the damage and heal yourself over time. It is a little unfortunate that this doesn't have any area of effect application in terms of spreading out healing to a 600 radius at like a reduced cost. It is purely a self-defense skill, but I guess you have that area of effect support and ally support with Envoy of Exuberance anyway. What I really like about this build is you're being able to have an offhand at least that is a bit more supportive. Now, of course, we have new weapons coming momentarily in the coming months when recording this, and Revenant is getting Scepter, which is a very magical weapon, and with the idea of, using magic and, the raw energy of mists, I wonder if there's going to be any ally targeting effects, such as barrier application. It's really fun in terms of being able to fulfill that alacrity need, while still being able to pump out some pretty strong heals and supportive elements. Renegade is really fun for extra utility, but you can of course go with something like the legendary Dwarf Stance to grant more stability and group damage reduction with that elite ability to reduce damage by 50%. So there's some wiggle room here depending on the encounters that you're doing, but I find this one to be really fun. And then on top of the healing build for Renegade that Revenant has access to, you also have the very first elite specialization, Herald, which was the very first elite specialization and is more focused on boon uptime and healing over time. And for this build, it's essentially the same loadout and formats. For this one I was going with Glaring Resolve, but you can go Rising Tide if you'd like to for more damage. And with the Herald, it's again the top line because it's more of your support oriented path to go down. This will increase your regeneration by 20%, the healing that your regeneration does. So regen ends up becoming a really strong healing over time boon. And if you're in a party, you're probably going to be overtaking those regen heals for the group. Shared Empowerment is able to stack might on yourself and allies, and then also Elevated Compassion heals whenever you proc boons. And additionally, you will grant Quickness to allies around you when your upkeep cost is equal to or higher than 6. And with the Herald, you have plenty of upkeep skills. You have Facetive Chaos, and then you're going to proc maybe like one of the upkeep ones. Maybe, throw some regen in there. We can probably pop that. Currently, I'm not at 6. I'm just ever so below. So you can keep up the Swiftness one. If you keep up Protection, Swiftness, and regen with Facetive Light, Facetive Elements, and Facetive Chaos, you'll have a very slow energy decrease, but you're able to pump out basically 30 seconds of quickness over time. And just running into the area of your allies, you're going to then be able to grant those boons to everyone around you. Your regen ticking for pretty strong. You're able to grant protection, which is a really strong boon as well, and swiftness is impactful in those scenarios where you need to move faster. And then, of course, you can weave in your own damaging abilities to start dealing some damage. You can release all of your facets to then regenerate energy faster, because this specific elite spec has all of its skills being upkeep ones. However, with my Herald, for the equipment, I actually really enjoy playing with Relic of Dwayna, because that will increase your healing of your regeneration by an additional 20%. Here we have 3,270 healing, and then if we take that off, it goes down to 2,803 healing. So you're getting a nice extra bit of healing off of this. So if you really want to go full regen heal bot, where just by standing around allies, you're able to heal them for quite a significant amount, you can go with that. And then of course, with your other traits, when you swap to your legends, you're then able to heal for greater amounts, and your healing will go up, which is very nice. It's very, very nice. And much like the Renegade, I've decided to go with Ventari as my second legend, because it's your most trustworthy healing one. We're going to just weave in some of these. We're going to also grant some might as well. So you can weave in these utility facets as you need, but I typically will always have Facet of Light and Facet of Chaos up, just to start to generate that quickness. And then you also have your F2, True Nature. When you activate it, will increase the duration of all boons on allies by 2 seconds. So that's one way to just juggle your boons a little bit better, to extend the duration of them. If you happen to be falling just a little bit behind in terms of the amount of energy that you currently have, you can then start to use your Facet of Nature to just give yourself a little 2 extra seconds to maybe catch up just a little bit. I want to find some allies that are like taking some damage, and oh, there you go. Get some of that healing, the 500 ticks of healing. And then also with my staff, your auto attacks healing allies around you. Your second ability will heal more if you strike a target, and your fourth ability is a really strong heal as well. And then of course using Sword Shield. The shield is not new to Herald, but it still is a really nice weapon to use, because it has that protection and the nice defense. Ventari is actually maybe a little bit easier to get that upkeep of quickness if you are looking to just do that for Ventari, because your ability Protective Solace will consume 6 energy, and you only have 1 upkeep skill for Ventari, so it's the only one you have available to yourself. So you know that by pressing this ability, you're going to be sharing out quickness to allies. And this will be around you in a 600 radius, which is even more forgiving than 360, such as Kala. I would love for more of the boon sharing radii to just be increased to around 600. You have 2 very strong support playstyles at the moment for Revenant when it comes to Herald and Renegade, and they just seem to be working as well as they always have, but the new relic system adds a little bit more flexibility in terms of getting more barrier access or getting more regen access and stronger regen procs. Say my overall review of the Revenant at the moment is really positive. I've had a lot of fun, and I'm extremely excited to see what this scepter will end up looking like to hopefully complement these support builds in a more interesting way. We definitely see some inspiration from Spectre Scepter, Druid as well, you know, ally targeting, you know, area of effects and all of that stuff, and getting access to maybe a 900 to 1200 range weapon will be really nice and hopefully complement the shield nicely. But everyone, that is my overall feelings with the 2, you know, big support playstyles for Revenant. When it comes to Vindicator, you have access to Saint Victor. However, Saint Victor does not provide any alacrity nor quickness. So you know, you gotta just take that for straight up healing if you want to. But thank you all so much for coming on by. If you'd like to support the channel, head on over to Patreon for early access to videos and some exclusive content. If you'd like to purchase Secrets of the Obscure and gain access to weapon training, the feature that allows me to mix any of the elite spec weapons on any build that I desire, you can use my links down below. And if you want to purchase anything from DX Racer, use code KROOF for 5% off. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone! Mwah.